So last time I made a video about things that I hate about New York City. But there are things that I actually really like about New York City, and that's what I feel like talking about today. New York is a very, very special place. It's an iconic city, one of the most famous cities in the United States, I would say. And this is very important to me because I grew up here. I was born here, you know. Despite all the politics, despite all of the New York City trying to get all your money and everything like that, and despite all the people being narrow-minded little shits, I really like this city. I really do, you know. If it wasn't for the fact that I'd feel cheated out of my money, I'd probably live here. So what do I love about this city? Well, for one, it's very iconic, very famous. I'm proud to say, you know, I grew up in a city that has the Statue of Liberty, the Coney Island Red Little Tower thing. You know, we had the Twin Towers. Now it's the Freedom Tower. The iconic Manhattan skyline, that's where I'm from. You know, it's such an icon. In every single apocalyptic movie, you will see that they like blow up the Manhattan Bridge or something. And every time I'm like, ah, I'm from there. Woo! You know? So it's an iconic city. It's a beautiful city. And there's a lot about this city that is just so special, you know? Every neighborhood has its special characteristics, you know? Now, there's a thing going on called gentrification. And I am for that. I like gentrification. It makes neighborhoods better. What I don't like is that it takes away the culture of every neighborhood. See, that this is something that's slowly starting to go away. But what I really like about New York City is that, you know, you go from one place, it's full of Italians. You go to another place, it's full of Chinese people. You go to another place, and it's Greek people, and so on and so forth. And each place has their own little restaurants and their own little people walking around, you know. I like that a lot. But that's slowly starting to go away, unfortunately. It's the downside. And you know, historically, New York City has been the city for people. This was an icon for, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, you know. Everybody around the world who at some point in time considers immigrating into the United States, the first place they want to go is New York, and a lot of people actually want to start living in New York. This city was the holy grail of immigration and immigrants. This was the place for immigrants to be, you know, and that's because everybody had a job here. Everybody had a thing to do. Everybody had their own little neighborhood, you know. Nowadays, that's slowly starting to go away, and now instead of immigrants coming here to create a life, you have immigrants coming here, and then New York City is just trying to help them a lot, I guess. Almost too much. Like, for example, recently they made it so that you don't need to know English to become a taxi driver. Huh. You know, that's a little odd. What else do I like about this city? The convenience of living here, you know. You want a bagel at 2 a.m. in the morning? Go ahead, step outside, walk down the block, you got a bagel at 2 a.m. in the morning. That's really great. There's a Rite Aid on like every corner. There's a Target on like every corner. There's a corner on like every corner. Like, it's this city. You know, supermarkets aren't always open 24/7, but the delis are. You know, you could always buy a pack of cigs. You could always buy a bagel or a sandwich or chips or water or whatever the hell you need. It's very night shift friendly in that respect. Back where I'm from, where I currently live, in Pennsylvania, after 9 p.m. you're screwed. Unless you drive 20 minutes to a Walmart. What else do I really like about New York City? There's a pizza shop on every corner, and they're all predominantly okay. We've got accessibility to public transportation, okay? For whatever reason you don't have money to buy a car, you know, the subway will take you there. The buses will take you there. It's easily accessible. If you're an old person and you're not very mobile, you have all of the buses at your disposal, all of the subways at your disposal, you know? So, you know, if you're an old person and you're living in the middle of nowhere, life is really, really rough, because this is with the assumption you have no friends or a caretaker, you know? You have to do your groceries and shovel snow and all that stuff. Over here, it's just, you know, everything, the infrastructure is so good and everything is taken care of already for you. So in that respect, I love how well organized this city is. How much infrastructure there is available. Police response time, 5 minutes or so, that's great. I love how many parks there are, and I love how well kept they are. You know, it's a big ass city, and in the heart of this city you have rolling green fields, you know. You have places to be with your friends, things to do. That's very good. Out in Pennsylvania, every now and then you get like a park in the form of a boat ramp that launches into the river, or, you know, some hiking trail or something, and that's way wicked cool. But something like Central Park or Prescott Park, we don't have that in the little towns in Pennsylvania. At most, you have like a playground that hasn't been taken care of for 20 years, you know? And who knows what kind of snakes and spiders are there sometimes. What else is here that I think is amazing? All the things you could do, you know? I mean, granted, there's a shit ton of things you can't do, and freedom is very limited here, but as far as actually going out and doing something, you know, you got restaurants, you can take your girl on a date, you can go to Coney Island, go to a little amusement park without having to drive to New Jersey, you know? You can go paddle boating in Central Park, you could go for a walk in the High Line. You know, where it is in Pennsylvania, you could probably go to a restaurant or hang out with some friends and flip some rocks over, and, you know, that's about it. I like all of the museums. I mean, I hate the museums because they charge you money, and in tiny, tiny little small print it says suggested fees, because museums are supposed to be free. And of course they'll give you a hard time if you try to fucking buy something, but like under the price that they post. But the museums in and of themselves are very nice, because you can go and you can look at airplanes, you know, the Intrepid. You can go and you look at art, you know, Museum of Modern Art. You can go in and you can look at like rocks in like the Museum of Natural History. In that respect, it's very good. Okay, I've talked about infrastructure. I've talked about how iconic it is. I've talked about the culture here, how close everything is, how, you know, if you're an old person, everything is easy in the city, readily accessible. Hey, you know, those are the things I really like about this city, you know. Granted, a lot of the stuff you could say about many cities, but there's always something interesting going on here, you know. A couple months back in the summer on Broome Street, you know, I walked into what was apparently a film shoot for the Fast and Furious, you know. Sorry, Fast and Furious filming people, but I had a job to do. You know, 2 years ago, some guy climbed the Brooklyn Bridge and replaced the American flags with white flags, probably as a political statement. There's a lot of fun stuff that goes on in this city. And granted, there's a lot of bad stuff in this city, like how they capitalize on the Twin Towers memorial or whatever, but there's also a lot of good things here, you know. It's like a little new set of experience. There's a lot of stimulus here. I mean, yes, I'm the kind of person that likes to wake up in the morning and have a very quiet morning, cold, crisp air. This city's always hustling and bustling, and if you look hard enough, there's nothing you can do that'll make you bored, you know. Or it's hard to be bored here if you really know your way around. So yeah, I know this was a little lame, but you know, I felt like since I said things that I hate about the city, I also had to say things that I like about it. So that's what it is. I hope that's going to be less than 10 minutes. I'll edit it out. And if you guys like it, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great time. Take care. And consider subscribing. Thanks again. You guys are awesome.